Hey, 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 it is an unstoppable day. Welcome back to day four. Day four. Day four of the It's My Time Challenge. I'm your facilitator, Terrence, the unstoppable Coach Leffridge, and we thank you so much for taking part, taking control of your time so that you can take back control of your life. Hopefully, you have been enjoying this journey that you've been taking this week. Hopefully, you have been journaling about your experience. Hopefully, you have been motivated and moved by the videos and the affirmations that we've been providing for you each and every day of this challenge. And hopefully, you are well on your way to taking back that control of your life as a result of this challenge. Now, we are in day four, and we're going to go to part two of our formula, the formula for you to take your life back. So let's get right into it. I know you got your pen and your paper because I've talked about it each and every day how note takers are money makers, but note takers are also change makers. And we're going to talk about the next two quadrants of our Eisenhower method. Now, yesterday we talked about the Eisenhower method. We talked about the four D's: the do, the decide, the delegate, and the delete. And we went really deep into the do, into the delegate and the delete yesterday. So that opens us up to the decide and the do. Now, we did it in inverse order for a reason. And part of that reason is because we wanted you to get rid of those things that are on your task list that don't need to be there. Get rid of those things that are those non-IPAs. We talked about that yesterday, those income producing activities. If they're those non income producing activities, you need to get rid of them. There's a saying that says, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And that's what you look at that delete box for. All those things that don't make sense and therefore aren't making you dollars, you need to delete from your task list. And then we talked about the delegating. The delegating is the ideal of who else can do those things for you. And so as I share my screen, we're going to go deeper into the other two boxes today. So give me a second. You should see it popping up on the screen in just 1 second. And you can just put in the chat box if you see it coming. If you see it up on your screen, you should see it right there next to my lovely face. And what I'm going to do is I am going to, again, just recap that the four boxes, part of the Eisenhower method, are the do, decide, delegate, and delete. Do, decide, delegate, and delete. But now let's really try to focus in on the ones that we didn't talk about yesterday. And those are the do and the decide. Because now we've freed up all those things on those lists that we knew were time wasters. We freed up those things that we knew that although they were urgent, they were less important. They were things that, if you really thought about it, you could delegate other people to do for you. And if you look on the screen real quick, you can see we gave some examples. You know, if you have some design work and that's not your forte, then outsource it to your graphic design team. Hey, if you are trying to do IPAs, income producing activities, but you know that the grass needs to be cut, then maybe you need to hire a lawn care company. If there is something that needs to be done to reach your ultimate goal and you have a team that can help you do some of these other things, decide and delegate some of those other tasks that are urgent but not as important that you need to do it yourself to those other team members. And If you don't have a team, maybe you might want to consider hiring a virtual assistant, someone that you can outsource those things that need to get done that you don't physically have to do yourself. So that brings us up to what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about those other two boxes, and those boxes are the do and the decide. The do and the decide. So let's really go deep into what that means. And we're going to work in converse order because ultimately you want to be playing in these two boxes for the majority of your time with your to-do list. But ultimately, you want to be effective. You don't want to just be doing things. You want to be doing productive things. There's a difference between activity and productivity. And sometimes we get those things confused, especially when it comes to the things that we have to do on our list. We think as long as we're being active, that we're being productive. And those two are not the same. You have to recognize what you can do to get those things off of your list so that you can now focus on the other things that are on your list. So that's why we talk about the do list and the decide list. So the do list is those things that are urgent and important. Those are the things that have to be done right now, or at least they have to be done today. Those are the things that you really need to get off of your list. So when we talk about the do versus the decide are those things that, yes, they while they are important, they're not urgent. And those are the things that you have the opportunity to schedule. Those are the things that you have the opportunity to plan out a time frame, a timetable for when you get those things done. So, what are some of the things that we can decide to do? Well, for example, you got to get a checkup. Every year, you're supposed to get your annual checkup. So every year, you can literally put on the schedule when that annual doctor's appointment will take place. Now, this is a good example because there are some times where you might get sick unexpectedly, or your children may get into an accident, or your spouse may get sick, where now it becomes not only important, but it becomes urgent. So it's one of those things that you have to do right now. You either have to call the ambulance right now. You either need to get into the emergency room right now. You need to schedule an appointment with your doctor today, because it's just those things that now it's not only important, but it's urgent. But generally, those medical appointments are things that you can schedule. You can schedule to get your lab work done. You can schedule to go see the dentist. You can schedule to go see a specialist depending on what your medical needs may be. So that's one example. The other example that you see on the screen is the guest list. So maybe you have an event. Maybe you're getting married. Maybe you're an event planner and you're scheduling someone's wedding. So you have to create a guest list. So that's something that you can set time aside to do. That's something that you can put on your planner to do each in every week. And as a side note, I do recommend that if you don't have a planner, whether a physical planner or whether a planner that is on your computer, that you start using one. Because the key to this whole ideal of the task is how we started off day one. It's dumping that stuff out of your head. When you can get it out of your head and get it on paper, then you free up your mind to focus on other things. But the more stuff you have trapped inside of your head, the less you're able to focus. And here's the one thing I know: where your focus goes, your energy flows. But if your focus has no destination on where it's going to go, your energy is going to be all over the place and you end up getting nothing done. So let's look back to that. Let's look back at how we can really work this out. So you should be working on what's left on your list under the do and the decide. So, what's left on your list that is important, but it's not something that needs to be done right now or today? Your goal for tonight's assignment is to move those things into the decide box, but not only to move them into the decide box, I want you to decide when you're going to look at getting them done. Now, here's an analogy. It might be a big thing that you need to do. So let me ask you this question. How does an elephant eat a pie? Now, I'm going to give you a second to ponder that. How does an elephant eat a pie? You got the answer? It's stumping you? Well, here it is. One piece at a time. One piece at a time, just like you need to tackle that big problem in your life. Tackle it one piece at a time, one step at a time. What part of that big thing that you have to do can you handle today? And then what other parts of that big thing can you schedule to do somewhere down the line? Maybe the first step that you can do right now in tackling that piece of pie, that big piece of pie, is to now write down when you're going to look at it on your schedule. You can write that down now in your planner, and you can pick a day in the future or a time in the future where you'll do the first step. And then you can pick another time when you'll do the second step. And you can schedule all those steps until you've eaten the whole proverbial pie. That's how powerful that decision box is, because it gives you the opportunity to map it out, to spread it out, so it doesn't feel like it's something that you have to do right now. The problem with most of us, myself included at times, is that we will look at the problem, the big problem, just like that, as the big problem. It's so big that we can't tackle it all at one time, so we don't tackle it at all. And it keeps growing and growing, and it gets more important that now it becomes urgent. And now we can't procrastinate anymore about it. And we find ourselves struggling to deal with it in the now box when we had the opportunity to start chipping away at the problem, chipping away at the goal, chipping away at the task in the decide box. So I want you to look at that list, and I guarantee the biggest thing you still have to do is probably still on that list. So look at that thing first. Let's look at the hard thing first, and let's map it out. Let's decide how we're going to tackle that hard thing. What can you do right now to tackle that hard thing? And then let's decide the other times that you're going to tackle the other things. Put that in the decide box along with other things, like some of the examples that we said that you can schedule to do, and put those in the decide box. Then you'll look at your list and you'll probably see that it's pretty small of the things that need to get done right now. You see, we live in a fear that we have to do everything all at once. False evidence appearing is real. That fear makes us stuck. That fear keeps us out of whack. That fear keeps us constantly out of time. But when you face that fear, when you face every day of your life and you face every day of your new task and you rise above that fear, then you're able to logically and strategically map those things out between the things that you can do now, the things that you can do later, the things that you can delegate other people to do for you. And yes, you'll find those things that really have no place in your life, and you can delete them off your list. That's the formula right there. It's the do, decide, delegate, delete. Do, decide, delegate, delete. That's the formula for getting your time back. But the key to all of those is that you have to take the time. You have to make the time to put this method, put this formula into action. So, your homework assignment is to now focus on these two boxes, the decide box and the do box. With the rest of the tasks that are on your list, decide whether it's something that's urgent and important and you've got to do it right now or today, or decide if it's something that you can schedule for later. That's our time for today. Thank you so much. We are coming to the end of our challenge tomorrow. We're going to put all this together and we are going to create your It's My Time manifesto. I look forward to seeing you back here again tomorrow. Definitely take advantage of the motivational video and the affirmations. You're also going to get the audio version of this video as well as the transcript. So we look forward to giving you all the tools necessary for you to get your time back. I'm Terrence, the Unstoppable Coach Leffridge. And as always, wherever you are in the world today, you know what I say. Don't just make it a great day. Do what you can right now and decide to do the rest later, and then you'll make it an unstoppable day. Take care.